some interesting news out of Arizona. Seems like there's a little bit drama brewing because, people are focused on everybody's socials. Seems like Kyler Murray unfollowed the Arizona Cardinals on all of his social media platforms. So that's kind of interesting. So this usually means that Kyler Murray is probably going to demand a trade or is not happy with what his situation is in Arizona. What do you feel like is going on over there? Why do you feel like he would be unhappy if he is? And how do you think this affects the 49ers, Brandon?
Yeah, so I mean, he completely wiped all his stuff. So every single picture of him in a Cardinals uniform is off most of his stuff, and so like his whole history with that team is pretty much off his accounts, and he stopped following the Cardinals, and so usually that means something bad. I guess there's multiple options, right? One would be, hey, if you're an Oakland A's fan, you might be getting Kyler Murray to come play some baseball, and maybe he's tired of taking hits. Maybe he doesn't really like this is what he thought it was, although he's essentially this summer away from possibly a $40 million extension per year based on the quarterback market. But, we've seen players walk away in their prime for health reasons, right? We've had some linebackers on our team, Patrick Willis, because, nagging injuries, maybe the high ankle sprain and him getting hit constantly because he's a running quarterback. I've heard some other people say that it's hard for him to see over the line. And so they predicate that whole offense to scramble him out. Well, that puts him in some situations in open space where, not necessarily good for his health, and this is all just connecting the dots and us being hypothetical, but that's what sports entertainment is, right? So we're trying to figure out what's going on.
Here's my pushback on that, because that sounds like a very reasonable reason, but that doesn't explain away why you would completely restart your social medias and like completely just get rid of any Arizona Cardinal content, right? Because even when those types of situations, Andrew Luck retired early after nagging injuries, Patrick Willis, another person, we've seen that happen, but it wasn't necessarily like contentious with the team. It wasn't like Andrew Luck all of a sudden just got rid of all of his Colts stuff without any explanation, or Patrick Willis just stopped being part of the 49er family. This is a little bit different. What did you say, Brandon? When you completely just get rid of wipe clean. We've seen this, I guess. Deshaun Watson had done this, right? Just last year, before all of his, off the field situations came up, he had kind of distanced himself from the team and got rid of everything. Usually, this is something that I'm upset with the organization for whatever reason. Now, have you heard anything about why that would be, or if you were, just being a detective and giving your, I guess, hypothesis, what would be the reason why all of a sudden Kyler Murray would not see eye to eye with the franchise?
Yeah, I was going from least likeliness to going up, and I think this would be also a bad way to get an extension, right? Like this, if you want to show that you're faithful to the organization, you'd probably stay there. So I think this is more along the lines of, and I watch a little bit on Instagram, the fantasy football show, I believe is what his name is. He's from Arizona. So he talked about it a little bit last season about a lot of the fans were kind of upset with Kyler not being a big play quarterback and all this kind of stuff. He didn't really show up in the playoffs, all this kind of thing. And then he's one-dimensional, or not one-dimensional, but he is only successful when he moves outside the pocket and has receivers that can play off script, like DeAndre Hopkins did for a long time with Deshaun Watson. So they were thinking that, okay, well, we have this young quarterback, and there's two options in the NFL right now that team might get nothing for said quarterback. One being the Houston Texans and Deshaun Watson. If all that legal stuff goes, they get nothing for him, right? Because no team's going to pick that up. So if the Arizona Cardinals maybe take a chance and they go Kyler Murray and this pick, or just Kyler Murray straight up, because you would save some money in the cap, and Kyler Murray doesn't have this situation. He moves to Texas, you get Deshaun Watson, hope his legal issues don't, flare up, and you kind of take that gamble and upgrade in quarterback by using a gamble. Or the other one is Aaron Rodgers, right? So Kyler Murray and whatever pick you think is valuable, at that point for Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay gets to save some in cap. They get to see if he's better than Jordan Love, which many people think he is, and kind of move on from there and rebuild the entire franchise around Kyler Murray. And then Arizona gets to use their team, who is built to win right now, with Aaron Rodgers for however long is left in his thing. So there's a couple of scenarios that may be out there, because as we've talked to Niners fans, both those names have come up, and we're talking 3 first-round picks, this and that. Well, Kyler would, because he was on pace to be the MVP for the first half of the season, would deaden some of what you would have to give up to get him, either player. So that, I think, is maybe something as a brewing there. Not necessarily that it's I don't know why this is happening or why Kyler's so just upset. If it's coming from within the organization, if it's within the fan base. But I would say trade is most likely the possibility, because that's the only, you don't get an extension by being disgruntled and wiping all that kind of stuff like that,
Yeah. So you think maybe this is more of a situation where Arizona went to Kyler and said, we might be shopping you, and he might have gotten upset and said, then I'm just getting rid of everything, kind of thing.
Or Kyler's agent heard from Green Bay. Maybe the staff said, hey, what's the price for Aaron Rodgers right now? Would you be open to Kyler Murray? Just like putting out feelers, right? Teams put out feelers all the time. And, just like we did with Matt Stafford and all this kind of stuff like that. So they, what is the cost? And what is the cost with Kyler Murray? Would you guys be interested in Kyler Murray? And then Green Bay might be, someone in there might leak it towards the agent, and it just gets around. As big as the world is, the football world or the sports world is pretty small when you know the right people. And right. So, those rumors get spread around pretty quick there, and so Kyler gets like E. Kim is saying in the chat, when we're seeing in the 5th-year option, well, the 5th-year option is a franchise tag, essentially, isn't it? So both Mahomes' salary goes up, all those salaries go up. So it's probably going to be 26 million, if I were to guess, based on just a rough estimate. Which would
probably be a deal for a guy like Kyler Murray, right? If you could get him for 26 mil. That's interesting. I didn't really think of it as that point. I thought maybe it was more something with Kyler just being upset with the organization for whatever reason. I wonder what the market would be. I think that would be, I guess, because the next way I would forming this question is, how does it affect the 49ers? Well, you would hope, I guess, from a 49er standpoint, that maybe Kyler, this is a thing where they're going to try to trade Kyler and maybe press the restart button. Because if you get rid of Kyler, this team isn't necessarily that great, right? Maybe they're trying to do like a wholesale sell, and then just kind of like, because this was their best shot, right? This was the best team that they had. They went one and done in the playoffs, and maybe they're looking at it like, maybe this isn't the team that we could win with. Maybe there's wholesale changes. They start becoming sellers in the market rather than buyers. So I was looking at it, maybe this is Kyler Murray leaving the division, and then they maybe go after some draft picks, try to draft a quarterback for the future, which wouldn't make sense to me. But still, I was thinking maybe it's more like that. Now, if they're bringing in somebody like Aaron Rodgers, that's a completely different situation. Now the 49ers have to face Aaron Rodgers, Hopkins, and that receiving core twice a year. And, you look at the Cardinals still being a threat. So how do you feel like, I guess we don't know, because we don't know exactly what's going to happen with Kyler Murray, but what would you see as far as how this would affect the 49ers?
Yeah. If it ends up being Watson, or if Watson is able to play, or it's Aaron Rodgers, the Cardinals would be the favorite in the NFC. They played to win last year. They have $5 million in cap going into 2022. And so, you would get rid of the Kyler cap. You would pretty much add whatever the salary is. You'd have to make some other moves to make some space and all that kind of stuff. But I guess they would be the favorite. I don't see the hard reset button. It doesn't make sense for me, just because the fact that they went all in last year, right? They got an all-pro center. They're paying DeAndre Hopkins $30 million. They went and got J.J. Watt and all these guys. And so they played to win. They got one more year under that rookie deal. So, like, for me, if you're going for a championship, next year would be the last year where or this upcoming season would be this year that you'd want to go all in again to try to make use of all that money. So, maybe if Aaron Rodgers wants to continue playing, they restructure his deal and get his cap lower and extend him out further if he's happy with Arizona. But you never know with Aaron Rodgers. Like, he seems like he wants to get traded or he's fine with retiring. Like, it seems so weird for him. And then the Watson thing, that's a lot of heat to trade for a quarterback there, and like maybe he never plays.
Right.
I
mean, I think out of those two scenarios, Randon, that you just point out, which epic, by the way, because I was not thinking any of those things. So that's awesome on your part. Why you get paid the big bucks for being on shows like this. But the Aaron Rodgers thing, I think, sounds more realistic, and to me would be a lot more scary as a 49er fan, because Aaron Rodgers and DeAndre Hopkins seem like they would just eat together. I think they would instantly be best friends, and that would be a dynamic duo. And you look at what the Rams just did, and maybe that's what is the thought process behind Arizona trying to make this move, is they had a lot of pieces around with maybe just a quarterback that they felt like was holding them back. So they went all in, trading, Goff, who they had paid money to, and even though they were going to eat salary and they gave up a lot of draft picks, now they're in the Super Bowl. So to them, it's all worth it. Maybe that's what the Cardinals are seeing. They see that, hey, Kyler Murray, maybe they believe Kyler Murray isn't the type of quarterback that could take them all the way. So let's go all in, go after a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who they feel probably is a better upgrade. And, that would be scary to have to go up against that offense twice a year, especially, they swept the 49ers last year with Kyler. You would think that, Aaron Rodgers would be even more difficult, with the type of receivers and offense that they have there. But that's interesting, man. Go ahead.
Another thing too is you look at Seattle is in hard press for a rebuild. They've been clamoring for Watson to leave there for a while. I wonder if they would do a 3-team trade, like essentially trading Watson to Green Bay, or Wilson to Green Bay or Houston, and then getting Deshaun Watson and the prayer that he might play, and getting some picks and getting a restart button. And if Watson doesn't work out, then you're restarting anyways. And if he does, then you still have a 20-something-year-old quarterback to be your franchise quarterback, and you get some picks. It just there's a lot of options here.
It would be hard for me to. So you're thinking Murray to Seattle?
So yeah, it's like Murray or whatever. Like, there's a 3-team trade with Houston, right, and somebody gets Watson. Or Wilson goes to Arizona or something like that, to where but trading the division, the package would have to be higher.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be interesting what a team values Deshaun Watson and what teams are feeling like his situation really is. Like, we haven't really heard much about it, whether it's going to be criminal or not. Mm-hmm. There's 22 individual cases. Will he end up on the commissioner's exempt list? Like, usually that stuff gets handed out after it goes. So like, people are kind of in that pausing situation. Is Houston going to panic? Like, I think they're naming Lovie Smith their head coach. Is he going to be like, hey, like, let's just move on, like, get whatever you can get from him. I really don't care. Like, let's just I don't want this hanging over my head as a head coach to start something different. Like, Davis Mills was satisfactory, and they have quite a few draft picks this year. Instead of 3 first-round picks, maybe they just go, hey, I'll take a first for him and a player, or a first and a second, and like lower the cost and still like just move on from that situation and wash your hands.
Right.
Because is Watson going to be really happy with the team that they have there? Like, that's why he was upset to begin with and wanted out, because they weren't competing, and that really hasn't changed. So, I mean, it's an interesting situation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really look until that court stuff is situated with Watson. I find it very difficult that any team would trade for him, especially if you're talking about franchise level quarterbacks like Russell Wilson or Kyler, because that's a fireable offense, right? If you trade away a Russell Wilson or trade away a Kyler Murray for a guy like Deshaun, and he ends up not even playing for you, you got a lot, that coaching staff, that GM, like they're not coming back. That you can't. I don't know if anybody would risk that. But like I said, I think the Aaron Rodgers things, I don't know how much I would agree that there would be interdivisional type stuff, because I doubt the Cardinals would want to play Kyler Murray twice a year in Seattle, or Russell Wilson. Seattle would want to play Russell Wilson twice a year. So usually when you're seeing franchise level quarterbacks, they're getting drafted to a different conference, right? So
yeah, I feel you on that. I know it's unlikely, but if I were Seattle, I'd press the reset button right now. Like trade him to the New York Giants. Are they really going to sign Daniel Jones to a 5th-year option, $25 million? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, or something like that, and hit the restart button. Because if you do a full restart, they have other pieces there that are, maybe you can get rid of, or you keep and just get like a veteran like Ryan Fitzpatrick to sling it while you guys are rebuilding, and then move forward. But if a rebuild takes 3 or 4 years, you're looking at, then they'll know if the Trey Lance experiment worked in San Francisco. Matt Stafford's going to be that much older, and Kyler is going to be might be out of the division, and so they could be kings and back in 4 or 5 years with their franchise quarterback if they can find one. It'd be a risk I'm willing to take. But like, to bring it back to the Niners, if Kyler Murray just leaves and there are no other quarterback comes in, and the Trey Lance experiment works, then we're going to be kings in that division for quite a long time, and that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah.
Right. That's interesting. I mean, definitely something to pay attention to. Obviously, right now it's a lot of speculation until we find out a little bit more about why, which I'm assuming will come out very, very soon.
Yeah.
You think there's probably going to be leaks tonight, or even all the sports shows tomorrow, because that's big news.
Yeah, all the stuff might be boring. All the stuff might be boring. He might just have thought like, hey, this is the way I get an extension, and didn't talk to his agent, and then it'll all be back up there tomorrow, and he'll apologize or whatever. Like, you never know in the sports world.
He was hacked. He was hacked. All right.